Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? I know what it is. It's a little bit after 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. So we are live for another edition of Book Talk Live. So today is another one of those coaches' corners. Just something that I want to do for each of you as new or existing authors that are still kind of trying to figure this thing out, trying to figure out what's going on, why your book isn't selling, how to take your career to the next level. For those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Ray Destin Jr. I am the founder and CEO of BOBM Publishing. We are a full service publishing house that does help authors with everything from the creation all the way to the launch and marketing, building your brand, etc. for authors. Been so successful with that the last 396 authors that we have worked with have all went number one on Amazon. 85 of those have actually went international bestseller, and you have 27 of those have actually went international number one. Working on a few projects behind the scenes as we speak. So just stay tuned for what's next. But this episode, as every episode, is brought to you specifically by BOBM Publishing. So if you're ready to take your book to the next level, make sure you scan the code that's right there in front of you, the QR code. Just take your phone, scan it, and it'll take you directly to our scheduling link so we can talk about how to make your book successful, right? But today is all about you. It really is. It's all about you as a new author or an existing author. I see this in so many groups on Facebook, on LinkedIn. People are asking the same questions. I'm trying to sell more books. Why is my book not selling? I'm trying to get more people to buy my book on Amazon. I'm trying to, it stopped moving after the first month, after the first 2 months. For some people, after the first 2 weeks, the book stopped moving off the shelf for you. So this segment right here, is all about how to get your book to sell more. And so I hope you got your pen and your pad ready because I'm about to give you $1 million worth of game for free 99, right? So one of the first things that I want to touch on for new and existing authors, the reason that before I give you the answers, I kind of want to give you a story of when I first published my book, right? So most of you know the story by now. My mentor, Saul Paul, salute. He's actually at the Grammys this weekend. Um, I guess what, 3-time Grammy nominated artist now. He just killing it. So keep doing your thing, bro. Salute. Um, he said the first thing that he told me when I had my first speaking engagement was you need to have something that people can purchase from you. You can't just go in and speak and think that because you're a dope speaker that people are gonna say, oh my God, this guy's amazing and we just want to pay him. Because everybody doesn't have a budget for a speaker. But what they do have is a budget for educational materials. They have a budget for other things. So that's when I decided that I was going to write my book. This was back in 2010 that I started this process. Now, because of my procrastination and because of my apathy towards getting the project done, I got into a decent job, making decent money. I'm surviving, not really thriving. But while I'm at this job, I don't have to worry about any bills being paid. I don't have to worry about where the next meal is coming from. And I said, you know what? I really don't need to get this book done. I'm just gonna relax. Okay, life happened. 2014. Two of the most important people to me in my life actually walked out, and so at that point, my life changed. It shifted. It broke me. And within 3 months, boom, that book was finished. But I still didn't know about editing. I didn't know about cover design. I didn't know any graphic designers. I didn't know any people that knew how to do formatting. I didn't know anything about marketing, any of this stuff. And I had to figure it out quick. Well, 2015, July 13th, 2015. For some of y'all hear that same day, July 13th, and think of other things, right? July 13th. I'm from Houston, 713 all day. So that day, I actually made myself a promise. I'm publishing this book, and I published it. Had my first launch on August 4th. Both of those days are very significant to me for a reason. July 13th, like I said, I'm from Houston, but there's also another reason that only a select few will ever know. And then August 4th is my cousin's birthday, and so I decided to have my first book signing on August 4th. Well, everything is going well, and then it just kind of fizzled out. Now, the first 6 months, it actually was doing okay. The books were moving because not only um, was I out there selling the book, doing book signings and hosting events. I was going different places. I was speaking. I was consistently on the move. I had my youth program going. So there was always a reason for people to see what I was doing. Now, after that 6 months, I had uh my last first tour book signing at a local coffee shop. And that last that last book signing, I just after that I just kind of pushed it to the side. And the book was just sitting there. And it was sitting there for a while until I watched this movie Dreamgirls. Most of y'all have seen it. It's one of my favorite movies. I don't care if you judge me or not. I love Beyonce, love Jamie Foxx in the movie. It was a great movie, right? Well, in the movie, um, one of the first scenes is when they actually put out a hit record. They put out this hit record and it's starting to chart. It's charting on the black radio stations, and it's starting to chart, getting a little bit more recognition across the country. Well, somebody came along and stole the song, right? The song was "Bought Me a Cadillac," and so the people who wrote the song and the people who were performing the song got mad. They went to Jamie Foxx, who was the main character at the time, and said, "Man, said how could you let this happen? This is not supposed to happen. This is our music. This is our work. They stole our work. They well, how could they do that?" He said that's because we need to get it on the major airwaves. And they said, "Yeah, but it costs money to do that because that's called pay to play." Well, when they did the pay to play, um, when they thought about the pay to play, they when they said that it cost money, they were discouraged because in their opinion, their minds, they said we don't have the money to go out and get our stuff on the major radio stations. We don't have any money to make this happen. Jamie Foxx looked at them and said he took the box that was filled with the Cadillac car keys, and he just threw it on the table. And he said, "What's that?" The when I saw that, that was a revelation that hit me, and it should hit some of you. Um, you have money sitting in your hands. You have money sitting in your hands. It's in your books. If you're out there selling your book, then you have additional money coming in. But the reason that most of you aren't selling it is because you look at it and you didn't place the same value on that book, the physical book, as you did in the writing process. Let me say that again. You didn't place the same amount of value in that physical book as you did in the writing process. So once that book is actually published, now you're proud because you have a book. That's all you saw. But what you didn't realize was that you had so many additional opportunities sitting right there inside of that book. And so let's take those books off the shelves for new and existing artists. And this is how you start to take that book off the shelf. Here's a few tips to actually start selling that book. One, start talking about it again. Start talking about it again. You remember how excited you were when you were writing that book. You remember how excited you were when that pencil or that pen hit the notepad, or those keyboards continue to when you continue clicking on the keyboards. You remember that feeling, how excited you were that there was something that was actually going to come from something that you were producing. Well, bring that excitement back. Start talking about it again. when you are out and about, ask people, hey, do you like to read? And tell them about your book. Ask them what they've been reading, and start finding out. When you're on social media, we post all these videos of the latest TikTok craze or the latest YouTube recipe. We post all these things about things that we find pleasure in. But when did you stop having pleasure, or when did you stop finding pleasure in sharing your book? That's the secret to getting that book out there. Start talking about it again. That's the first mistake that you made, was you stopped talking about it. The second thing is start investing in yourself. And what I mean by investing in yourself is there are plenty of people out here who can help you market your book. I know I've seen all the posts. If you're paying somebody else to market your book or to sell your book, then they're ripping you off. Incorrect. It's called an investment, because people have different specialties. So when you find someone who has a specialty in marketing, they can introduce you to a crowd that you haven't met, or they can narrow down the focus of your book, because right now you're thinking my book is for everybody. And if your book is for everybody, you haven't really set a goal of who your book is for. Set a goal and set your sights on a particular audience. If you are a woman who wrote a book about overcoming domestic violence, guess what? There are plenty of people in this world. There are plenty of organizations, groups that work with women who have been abused. Unfortunately, that number is alarming, but there are plenty of women out there who are still in that situation that you overcame. Why are you not telling them about your book, right? Your story is a chance to help somebody else get through their situation, but you don't see the value in what you went through. So start connecting with people that can market your book. There are people out there that can coach you, that have already been through the process of writing a book, becoming a bestseller, um, creating income opportunities from it. Connect with them, myself included, right? Shameless plug. But when you connect with someone who's already been on the journey that you're just starting, what that does is it shortens your learning curve. And when you begin to shorten your learning curve, all that does is it opens up a new possibility, a new level for you that you didn't even know existed until you got out there and started working with them. For example, there are things that you don't know about where your book can take you, that someone who's already been on that journey can take you. For me, the first book that I did, Claim Your Destiny, we started a youth program based on that book. Over 2,000 students impacted across Central Texas, right? Um, the next book, The Business of Books, obviously is a book for authors, for entrepreneurs, that's actually getting ready to do a re-release. And that book has helped to build a um, I'll just say it's built a nice size business for myself and for my company. Um, when you begin to connect with a coach by investing in yourself, that's when you'll start to see the results. Because right now you don't know, because you don't know what you don't know, because you don't know. Simple, right? It's a confusing statement, but it's simple. The next thing that you need to do to start moving those books is start looking for events to connect with. Connect with events. And I have authors that hit me, I want to say at least once every few months. How's my book doing? How's my book doing? And the question that I always ask is, how is your book doing? What are you doing to push your book? What are you doing to promote your book? If you're not out there promoting it, if you're not connecting to book fairs, you're not reaching out to people that have book clubs, you're not going to conferences as a vendor, you're not going to community events as a vendor, you're not looking for opportunities to speak, then who knows you, right? There's a difference between being an independent author and being an independent, well-known author. You can create some of the most amazing work and nobody knows and nobody cares, because there's thousands of books that are out there that are published every single month, every single year. So when you have time, start looking up different events in your area. And don't say that you don't have time, because you have the same 24 hours as a New York Times bestseller. You have the same time as somebody who's on a speaking circuit. You have the same time as somebody who's built a multi-million dollar business from their books. The only difference is where are you placing your value. Start connecting with event planners. Start connecting with decision makers. If you have books that are geared towards different organizations, connect with those organizations and don't be scared. The worst thing that they can tell you is no. The best thing that they can tell you is yes. And sometimes the best thing that they can tell you is no, because no causes you to be even hungrier and go after more opportunities. So find ways to connect with other organizations for, again, speaking events, conferences, opportunities to be a vendor, community events. There are plenty of opportunities that are out there that are waiting on you. You just have to be willing to put in the work and go after those opportunities. The next thing that you can do to build your awareness is what I call a media tour. What I call a media tour. Connect with people who have podcasts across the nation and even across the globe, right? You never know who's looking for you if you're not looking for them. Initially, it's going to look like this. You're looking for people, and then finally you find them. But on the other side is they were looking for you, they were looking for you, they were looking for you, and they finally found you. So you have to put yourself out there. Don't stop talking about your book just because the fire died out when you published it. After the first week, after the first 2 weeks to a month, guess what? A lot of people aren't going to be thinking about that book that you published, because people have short attention spans. Keep it in front of them. Make posts about your book on a consistent basis. And when you're not posting about your book, talk about your book. Talk to people that you know. Talk to friends and family. Say, hey, who do you know that this book can help? Talk to coworkers. Talk to people that you do speaking engagements for. And the more you begin to connect with other people when it comes down to your book, the better your opportunities will become. The more books will be sold, because people may not be looking for you now, but the more they hear about you, the more they're going to start asking about you. And your book, you put in your blood, your sweat, and your tears to bring this book to fruition. Now is the time to actually go back and make it count. And here's the last thing that I see that most authors who aren't selling books, the mistake that they're making, they aren't ordering books. They don't keep them on hand. If you don't have your books on hand, who do you think is going to buy it? And where do you think they're going to buy it from? If they're not buying it directly from you, they're not going just because you said, hey, my book's on Amazon. That doesn't mean that they're going to Amazon to buy your book. What that means is they know about your book, but they forget about your book after a short while. What's going on, Miss Nisi? You have to keep your book in front of other people. Otherwise, it's just going to die out. Keep those books on hand. I always recommend having anywhere from 25 to 50 copies of your book on hand at all times. The reason that you want to keep that amount is because you never know what opportunities can come up. I remember being at a school doing the youth program, and as I was at the school, I saw an older gentleman, and it was an older white gentleman who was on stage in the cafeteria. Now, the school that I was at is in urban community, so black and brown kids in there. And so I'm walking with the counselor, and I said, "Hey, who is that? And who's that on stage?" She said, "Oh, he's an author." I said, "He's an author?" She said, "Yeah, every once in a while we'll bring in authors to come in and speak to the kids." I said, "Really?" I said, "I'm a published author." She said, I didn't know that. I said, yeah, that's what the youth program is based on. Immediately, we stopped where we were walking to. Instead of going to her office, we actually went to the person who had access to the budget, and they purchased 25 copies of my book on the spot because I spoke up, and I had those books available. If you don't have your inventory with you, if you aren't talking about it, how can people find you? They're not going to find what isn't being spoken of. Always remember, closed mouths don't get fed. So you have to speak up and advocate for yourself. You have to speak up and advocate for yourself. So once again, I'm just going to do a quick recap. In order to get more copies of your book out there, one, start talking about your book again. Start talking to actual people. Two, start posting about it. If you have to, go and invest in someone who can help market you, who can help brand you. Get yourself a publicist. Get yourself someone who can get you in front of the right people, somebody who knows. And stop listening to everybody out there that's saying, you shouldn't invest money and you shouldn't spend money on this. And people spend money on shoes all the time. You got 10 pairs of shoes in your closet, you can only wear one at a time. If you spend that money on building something for yourself, investing in yourself, guess what? You'll have the opportunity to go and do whatever else it is that you want. Sometimes there's an investment and pay people for their work. The next thing is look for opportunities to connect with different audiences, different groups. If you wrote a book about domestic violence, that was the example that I gave. Look for opportunities to connect with people who work with women who are dealing with domestic violence and men who are dealing with domestic violence. If you wrote a book that was specifically for mindset shift and growth, then look for opportunities to connect with people who work with people that need their mindsets shifted. Um, and don't look down on those who are less fortunate. There's plenty of grants and opportunities out there for people to come and speak at prisons. There's plenty of opportunities to go and speak at the juvenile centers. Just because they made a mistake doesn't mean you should count them out, because everybody that's turned their life around is going to remember who was there when everybody else turned their back on them. Be that person that makes a difference in those lives. Um, look for Next thing is look for opportunities to connect with different events, speaking events, conferences where you can either be a speaker or a vendor, community events where you can be a vendor or a speaker. Look for opportunities to set up signings for your book, because guess what? If and and do me a favor, if you are setting up a signing, go to places where people are looking to purchase books. You can set up a book signing at a library. You can set up book signings at bookstores. You can set up book signings at schools or community centers. Find places where people are actually looking to purchase books. Whatever your book is about, find a time to connect with people that are in that are looking for that subject matter. Um, Next thing is look for media opportunities, podcast, radio, television, magazines. Any exposure that you can bring to your book is good exposure. Now, obviously, you don't want to bring negative energy to you, but sometimes negative energy works too. Howard Stern was one of the, or should I say, is one of the most controversial um, radio hosts of all times. Yet and still, his show was number one. Right now there's a guy, Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan has a very controversial show. He uses a lot of colorful language, but guess what? Again, he has one of the number one podcasts out there. It's all about who you connect with, and don't dream so small, right? If you want that book to make a big impact, dream bigger. Dream bigger. The reason that you stopped selling your book is because you fell out of love with the thing that you created. Fall back in love with that book that you wrote. Fall back in love with the information that you shared, that you bled out to get out there, right? If you put it out there, then you put it out there for a reason. Let people know that you actually exist. Let them know that you're still here, because nobody's going to remember you, or that you even have a book after the first 3 weeks to a month, unless you consistently talk about it. The last thing that I want you to do is connect with other authors. Other authors will support you. You support them, they'll support you. And you'd be surprised how many people genuinely want to support your work, and how many author communities there are. For those of you that are looking to find an author community, right now we're working to bring Bestseller University up so that we can help you take your books and your dreams to the next level. We do weekly calls every week with someone talking about advanced subjects. Find a way to connect with people that are in the same space as you, and let the world know that you exist. Closed mouths don't get fed, and neither will yours if you stop speaking. So continue fighting for your dream, continue talking about that book, and continue working to bring awareness, because you wrote an amazing book. You worked for countless hours to bring it to fruition. Just because other people in your circle aren't talking about it doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of people outside of your circle that are looking for you. There are people all around the world that are looking for the information that you shared in those pages. So everybody has a story. If you haven't already, it's time to write yours. Listen, I love y'all to the moon and beyond. My name is Sugar Ray Destin Jr., and I will see y'all next week. We got a great launch coming up this weekend. 14 powerful women in one book. So a total of 15 authors, and they'll be right here with me next week on Book Talk Live talking about their book. So listen, I love y'all to the moon and beyond. Until next time, y'all have a great one.